Waking up on Thursday, I came across a Twitter space hosted by Tariq Nasheed, a self-styled foundational black American. By the time I joined, the space had been on for more than 6 hours and it already had about 15,000 participants. That is by far the largest space I've joined on Twitter. The space had the hashtag Secure the Tribe, and the topic that was being debated was whether immigration benefits foundational black Americans. For the better part of the 2 to 3 hours I was in and out of the space, a lot of Africans, largely Nigerians, had a heated back and forth with Tariq Nasheed. From the few points that I gathered from Tariq, foundational black Americans, or FBAs if you will, were the ones who built the economy of America as we know it today. If you're wondering, FBAs, according to Tariq, are the descendants of black people who had already settled in America before the transatlantic slave trade. At some point, I also heard him refer to descendants of slaves as part of the FBA community. So Tariq claimed that FBAs have historically done so much for other black communities globally. While FBAs have always been hospitable, Tariq argued that these black immigrant groups keep taking their jobs and they also discriminate against them. In essence, he claimed that immigration has not been a net positive to the FBA community. Before I share my thoughts, it is important to understand who Tariq Nasheed is. I first knew Tariq about 2 to 3 years ago when I chanced upon one of his tweets which criticized white supremacy in America. Though I do not actively follow him, I've come across a number of his interviews and videos on YouTube. I understand that he recently raised $1 million to build a museum that focuses on black history. I would say that he largely criticizes systemic racism and white supremacy in America. He has in fact made a number of films on this. Naturally, one would expect that a black American who claims to fight racism and white supremacy would have a pan-Africanist sentiment. You'd expect that he would be sympathetic to the plight of black people across the world, given the colonial and imperialist injustices of the past and even the present they continue to suffer. But here you have Tariq saying something many Africans find upsetting and in fact despicable. For starters, I think it is very disingenuous to say that when Africans migrate to America, they take away from the jobs and opportunities available to foundational black Americans. It just doesn't make any sense. As we know, America is extremely heterogeneous. So, if there are any fears about immigrants taking up jobs, white Americans and Native Americans and other groups equally have the right to say that. When a white person who is far right says something like that, that would rightly be termed racist. How then does Tariq Nasheed not see the racism in his own words? When you say Africans come to America and they take up your jobs, what exactly does that mean? If I was an employer, my primary goal would be to make profit. And for me to make profit, I would need the most competent people I can possibly find to work for me. To then say that African immigrants are taking your jobs and opportunities suggests that employers, for some strange reason, are deliberately biased against black Americans, or foundational black Americans in this case, even though they are qualified. But these employers would rather prefer African immigrants. That makes no practical sense at all. As I earlier said, Tariq claimed that foundational black Americans built the American economy. Again, this is disingenuous. No one group in any country can claim to be the only one who built the economy of that country. That would be akin to someone saying that Igbo people built the Nigerian economy. No, that is false. Saying FBA's Built America would take away from the contributions and sacrifices of other groups and immigrants to the growth and development of America. Now, I have to say something here. Tariq repeatedly made fun of Africans for using flip phones and substandard cell phones. When he was challenged on this, he asked why we Africans feel we couldn't be mocked. But if we could flip that back, how would he feel if anyone makes fun of black Americans for dropping out of high school at a very alarming rate or for selling drugs? We can all agree that these are stereotypes and they are insensitive and wrong. I suspect Tariq wouldn't like anyone to say that about black Americans. Again, for someone who claims he exposes systemic racism and white supremacy in America, I find it very ironic how unaware he is of the racism in his cell phone jokes towards Africans. Tariq also said that foundational black Americans contribute trillions of dollars into the American economy. Well, I do not have any reasons to doubt this claim. But if this is true, why do they have problems with immigrants then? For a community that supposedly contributes trillions of dollars into the American economy every year, what does it matter if a Tanzanian migrates to America and works for Google? How does that affect the trillion-dollar economy of foundational black Americans? For the avoidance of doubt, this is not to dismiss the inglorious injustices the black American community have suffered in the past and continue to suffer today. And if any foundational black American like Tariq does not feel any attachment towards Africa, they very much have the right to that. At the end of the day, allegiance cannot be legislated. People have the right to believe whatever they want or identify whichever way they want. What is condemnable, however, is being racist towards an entire group of people who have not wronged you in any way. If foundational black Americans feel Africans are taking their jobs, are they saying the same thing about Indian, Chinese, Filipino immigrants too? What is the obsession with African immigrants? As a Nigerian, I cannot deny the fact that Africa has a lot to do. As a matter of fact, on this channel, I share my ideas on governance in Nigeria and how to move Nigeria forward. The system here is far from perfect, no doubt about that. But what does that have to do with Nigerians traveling overseas for job and education? What does that have to do with anything Tariq said on Thursday? That will be all for today. If you have made it this far, a subscription to this channel will be foundational to the growth of my channel. Also give this video a like for the algorithm and also share your comments below. I'd like to know what you think. Till next time, stay safe.